Big Noon's going to be there. Nebraska is also going to be there, going to Indiana as a 6.5-point dog. This is a wonderful thing about the new era of college football. We have our own gripes about the playoff and realignment, whatever. Not the time for it. Y'all, we got Nebraska and Indiana playing each other with college football playoff implications on the line here. That's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing because we've said throughout the entire era that we're in right now, the 12-team playoff, the entire season, hey, 10-2 from the Big Ten should feel optimistic at worst about your chances, confident at best about getting in the dance. College football sickos, we appreciate you for being subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. This show, The Hard Count, is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy, made easy to play, easy to withdraw what you win. We have been dominating so far this college football season. Use code HARDCOUNT, $5 on lineups played. Win or lose, gets you $50 in promo funds. So again, we appreciate you. If you haven't yet subscribed, now is the time. If you haven't yet used that code, now is the time. Now back to the prediction. Nebraska, 10-2. They only have one loss right now. If they win this game, you got Ohio State, got to go to Iowa. I guess you have USC, but like all those games outside of Ohio State should feel pretty winnable. 10-2 feels pretty attainable. Who would have thought? Who would have thought Nebraska's in that playoff conversation? Indiana, same deal. They're undefeated right now. They got Michigan and Ohio State on the schedule. But if they win this game, is it unfathomable to see Indiana sitting there at 11-1 at the end of the regular season? I'm just saying, this game is one that I don't know that we all had circled going into the year for obvious reasons based on the over-under win total of both football teams with college football playoff implications. But gosh dang it, let's go. Gosh dang it, this is awesome. Again, national stage, Joel Klatt, Gus Johnson, little Big Noon action. Let's start with Indiana, man. Whenever you ask people about Indiana and just the overall aura, if you will, of that team, one word keeps coming up: confident. I texted someone that's very close to both these teams. I said, hey, there's a certain swagger that Indiana plays with. And I think that comes from their head coach, and Curt Cignetti. Like, they believe in themselves. They're not worried about what anybody else is saying. They feel like they are the big dog. That's dangerous. It's dangerous to play a team that has that kind of confidence because, quite frankly, it doesn't matter whatever the matchup is, doesn't matter whatever the other team has. If you believe in what you have in-house and you play to the level of your belief, more often than not, good things happen. So I'm not telling you that you should just have blind confidence. I'm not saying that, but Indiana, quite frankly, they've earned the right to be confident now. They're undefeated. Indiana right now going to have, I have a good friend that went to Indiana, the biggest game in the last, 5 years maybe? Maybe more than that. In Indiana, having Nebraska come to town here, Big Noon come to town, this is the massive, massive spot. So if you're confident and you think you're built like that, this is your chance now to prove it with the eyes of the nation watching that you are, in fact, like that. And I can't wait to watch it. Nebraska now, this, so those of y'all that don't know, I had a chance to, for a cup of coffee, be on a Matt Rhule coached football team when he was at Baylor. And knowing what I know about him, this is going to be one of those games that he has his team just frothing at the mouth. Hey, you're 6.5-point dog. They're ranked. They're undefeated. This is the game that just has Matt Rhule special, to me at least, written all over it. So what's going to determine this game, man? It sounds a little bit dumb, but I honestly think that this may come down to just the fundamentals for Nebraska defensively. They're going to play that 3-3-5 defense. It's going to, I think, align fairly well with the Indiana spread. But overall, it's great to align to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, you got to make plays. Got to make plays. More specifically, Indiana does a great job finding the matchup they like and then picking on it and getting their guy in space. So Nebraska, man, to put it simply, got to tackle. Got to find a way to get dudes on the ground. That is what it comes down to here. Curt Rourke has been playing at such a high level to transfer from Ohio, from Action Wednesday nights to Saturday afternoons. He is now 73% on the year completion percentage. That's stupid. 14 touchdowns, only 2 picks. The run-pass ratio for Indiana, when you check their numbers, I think is a little bit deceiving. I think they want to be a little bit more of a pass-happy offense. They have 33 attempts in each of the last 2 games. Can Nebraska play honest up front and then give the proper attention to the pass game in the secondary? Because if it's a situation where Indiana is able to get something rolling on the ground and you have to for, using the verbiage we use around here, be dishonest, meaning you add another player into the box to stop the run, that's going to favor Curt Rourke. He's going to pick that apart. Now, on Nebraska's side of things, this is the game to me where you reiterate maybe why Dylan Rhule is your quarterback. And I don't mean to say this in the sense of like, hey, you take the training wheels off, because to be real, I think the training wheels have been off for Dylan Rhule for some time. But in this spot, I do think maybe you just throw him the keys a little bit more than you have, and you say, all right, like this, you're our guy for a reason. You add that extra gear to the offense, we're going to go as you go here. Because for him now, it's start number 7, both teams coming off a bye, and Dylan Rhule going berserk might be what this game requires. Indiana scoring 41 points a game offensively. All right, they are more than likely going to have their fair share of say on what that scoreboard says. They're going to get in the end zone. Even with how good I think that Tony White defense is, I'd be surprised if they just totally lock down Indiana. So what does that mean? It means pressure shifts back to Nebraska, which was anemic a year ago offensively, and now have brand new life with them, with Dylan Rhule and those weapons out on the perimeter. Like, this is the game where you got to go get it. Dylan Rhule, you're a guy for a reason. You're the leader of this team for a reason. As a true freshman, you came to Nebraska for a reason, for games like this. National spot, ranked team on the other side, on the road, go get it done. And again, that sounds a little bit like motivational and pep talky, but I think that's probably the approach here if you're Nebraska. I'm not saying they abandon the run, but I am saying, like, Dylan Rhule, we're going to let you spin it this game, all right? Go get it. Go get it. Now, here's the eyebrow raiser for me a little bit. I said this in the Texas-Georgia game. I feel the same way about this Nebraska-Indiana game. It is very difficult to have a low level of resistance throughout the course of your season through no fault of your own, and then have to immediately ramp up and bring your best against a similar level of roster talent opponent. That has been Indiana to this point in the year. All right, like I'm not trying to dunk on Northwestern, but like you go back and watch that Northwestern game, it was back and forth quite a bit. Like Indiana didn't ever really pull away until the fourth quarter. Nebraska, they've had some resistance here. The Illinois game, they lost that game. And you never say a loss is a good thing, but I do think that's actually going to serve them well in this spot. So what's harder to believe? Nebraska and their defense play up to the level they need to beat Indiana in that high-flying offense, or the Indiana is able to play a better level of opponent and go in with no warm-up, lift heavy, to keep with that metaphor of lifting weights and keep from breaking stride, and they just find a way to beat Nebraska at home. This game, to me, I said it before, I'll say it again, it has Matt Rhule special written all over it. I think he's going to have this team dialed into the nth degree. Nebraska's 6.5-point dog. I think Nebraska's the more talented football team. I think Nebraska's the better football team. I think Nebraska is the further along football team. I think they beat Indiana in Bloomington. I think it's close, but obviously we're taking Nebraska to win. So with that 6.5 points being given to Nebraska, we will take them to cover. And I think the Cornhuskers set up a very interesting matchup there the rest of the way with the games they have left. And the college football playoff conversation, I don't know if we're picking Nebraska to make the 12-team dance, but I do think that discussion gets a lot more juice to it. So again, we'll take Nebraska to get a massive win on the road, big noon kick, and the vibes are immaculate in Lincoln upon their return. Have to believe that.